It is time for Around the 412 with Smitty and Tyler.
Welcome back to another episode of Around the 412. I am Tyler. With me, as always, is my co-host Smitty. Go follow us on all of our social medias at Around the 412. Go check us out on YouTube if you're not watching there already. Leave a like on the videos and subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss one of our videos. And whether you're watching over on YouTube or listening on the listening platforms, you can go check out the description of each and every show. We've got links to all of our sponsors down there, as well as year 7 of Rocking Around the 412. It's our Christmas fundraiser where over the past 6 years, we've raised money to be able to provide children in the local 724 and 412 area codes in Pittsburgh the Christmas that they've always deserved. Smitty and I never had to worry about where Christmas was coming from. So we wanted to start this mission to be able to give back to the kids that don't have that luxury and be able to give back to kids in need. We have also partnered with the East Rochester Salvation Army the last few years. We're continuing to do so. This year, we've already hit 50 kids on tags from the East Rochester Salvation Army, which is amazing. I mean, this is the most kids we're going to be able to provide Christmas for in a single year. So thank you to everybody that's already donated or adopted a tag and gotten gifts for people at the Salvation Army. But we want to continue to do so. We're about a month away from the end of the mission for ourselves personally. We're actually less than a month away for the East Rochester Salvation Army. December 9th is a hard cutoff day. So if you want to get involved there and help kids at the Salvation Army, you have to get the gifts back to either in time for Smitty to get back to them on the 9th, or you have to get back to them at the Salvation Army on the 9th. So just be aware of that if you want to get involved there. Also, we have the GoFundMe link in the description. That money helps to donate directly to individual families that we're donating to. And we also donate every single penny that gets donated to us, so you don't have to worry about where your money is going from. And everybody that donates $10, they get nominated for some prizes. This is the Penguin show, so I know a lot of you are going to want to be interested in. We give out Penguin tickets every year. We also giving out signed jerseys, just regular Steelers jerseys, Around the 412 merch, Game Changers shirts, some more Steelers memorabilia, lots of good stuff. And all you have to do is donate $10 to the mission. And if you don't donate $10 to the GoFundMe, but you do a tag for the Salvation Army, that also does qualify. So if you're interested in that, the link is all below. You can read it, share it. You never know who's going to see it. Only a month away, where it's so close. So get involved while you can.
People are probably like, Penguin tickets. Do we have to go?
Do we have to go?
I'm going to the game. Well, actually, the game will have already happened. So I went to the game yesterday.
Why?
I'm going with Doug and John. I haven't seen Doug in a while. He asked me if I wanted to go. This will probably be the last one that I go to that isn't free, for sure.
You're a good friend.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to pay me to go.
Dude, tickets are like $30 right now to go see the Penguins, which is crazy, but that's the state of the team and where they're at right now. When we, do these shows, it's kind of just like, hey, what's happened over the last week? And typically it's just games. We actually have a transaction to talk about. The team made a trade the day of recording this. So, but by the time you guys are watching and listening to this, it's been a couple days, but Lars Eller going back to Washington where he won a Stanley Cup. So he's probably happy about that. There's still some familiar faces there, obviously, and they're in a better position than the Penguins are, although the Penguins just beat the Capitals in one of these games we're going to talk about. But he goes there for a 2025 5th-round pick and a 2027 3rd-round pick. Yes, a 2027 draft pick coming back. Don't even want to think about the year 2027 right now. But it's clear to me that, it's what did in the Ruhwedel trade, wasn't it like a 2027 4th or something like that?
Yeah.
Like, it's clear to me that Dubas is prioritizing the round more so than the year of these selections. Like, he's trying to just get higher value up in higher drafts of the rounds, or I guess lower, depending however you want to look at it. Better draft compensation and willing to, kick the can down the road in terms of the year to do so. But, this is a necessary move. It just sucks that it's necessary to me. I love Lars Eller, loved his time in Pittsburgh. I thought he was an awesome addition here. fit exactly what they needed. It's upsetting to me they couldn't construct a better roster for him to be a more impactful player and for, the Penguins to be able to be in a spot to retain him, because I think that, if we're in a better spot right now, they could have used him as their own rental. I wouldn't have even minded, seeing him sign another short-term deal, another year or so on his contract. But with where the Penguins are, this makes all the sense in the world. I'm not upset about necessarily trading him. I'm upset that they're in a position to be selling right now. Just because, I really didn't think things were going to be this bad this year. But here we are. So Lars Eller moves on to Washington. I know you're a big Lars Eller fan as well. So what are your first thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you lose the best player on the team, so that's always going to hurt you. But I really, in all seriousness, I do think that Lars Eller, and I'm on record of saying this before, Lars Eller was their best third-line center that they have had since Nick Bonino was here. And I don't think it is that much of a stretch to say that. And if you're not...
Yeah, I'm going through, who's even... Like Jared McCann probably didn't play there.
I'm talking about somebody that's played there regularly.
Yeah.
Evan Rodriguez didn't play there regularly. Jared McCann did not play there regularly. I'm talking about someone that we brought in and they played the vast majority of the games throughout a season. He was their best center, third line center that they've had since Bonino. He was a efficient player. One of the only bright spots of last year's transactions that Dubas had brought in. And I thought that going into this year, he was going to have a good year. And obviously there was all the talk this offseason of whether Eller should be traded, which, I mean, it would have alleviated cap. But at this point in the season, who really cares about cap space now? Dubas is all he's going to care about now is offloading assets for picks. And I can't blame him because the Penguins have played awful. The Steelers have played great. They're the only good thing in Pittsburgh right now. But the Penguins have played great. Jeez, I'm jumbling those teams up. I can't blame him for moving Lars Eller, especially for a return that I know people are going to look at this and they'll be like 2027 or 2027 pick. How is that good? I just think that that's probably a better return for Lars Eller than what a lot of people would have expected. I know Jesse Marshall said the same thing, more than he expected for a return for Lars Eller, so it makes sense why Dubas would pull the trigger on that. I just think it's a shame that we've gotten to the point where we are kind of at the beginning of the end for this team already, and we have barely scratched our way into November. I don't think that you are making this type of move if your GM believes that you are a winning hockey team. And I don't blame him, because from every evidence that has been shown this season, they are not a winning hockey team. They are not a good hockey team. They are not a playoff caliber hockey team, and they're probably not even close to scratching the surface of the playoffs. Like they have been the last couple seasons. I think that they are worse. They've been playing worse. They've been getting worse goaltending. So it makes total sense why on November 12th, you are moving your third line, actually acting second line center as of right now because of Malkin being up on Sid's wing so much recently. It's a shame that it's happened, but I think it makes total sense from Dubas's perspective. And I just think that this is the tip of the iceberg for more to come from this, because I don't know if you saw, but it came out with Taylor Haas reporting that Dubas is pretty much willing to clean shop. He is making every single player on the team available outside of Sid. That includes Gino. That includes Letang. I don't think that it has been ever more serious of a rebuild potential than right now, and the situation that they're in. They haven't been winning enough games. They haven't been even... It'd be different if they were looking competitive in some of their losses too. I should mention that. If you're just losing in by one goal, if you're losing by bad bounces, but you're still looking competitive out there, that's a little different. The way they are so uncompetitive right now in most of their games, I just think it's more reason for Dubas to make these changes. It's more reason to basically make everybody available outside of Sid. It makes total sense to me. And so from the Penguins' perspective, none of the players in the locker room should be shocked that Lars Eller was moved today. None of them. They are the reason that this is happening. And I'm not going to put all the blame on the players. Obviously, we have talked about the coaching at a nauseum so far the last few weeks. But that blame also goes there. I think part of the blame still goes all the way up to Kyle Dubas for some of the moves that he has made. And while I understand the challenges that he has of trying to bring in players to compete while also building for the future. I just think he needs to throw out the competing for this year out the window. If you want to try to construct a roster for 2025, where you have more cap space to do so next season, do it. But 2024, I hate to say it, but we're sitting in the beginning of November, and I think you can already throw it out the window. And I think him actually making a move is proof that the Penguins are throwing it out the window. And like I said, this is the tip of the iceberg. This is how it is going to begin, and we're just going to see more to come from this.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see this kind of kick off. I don't know that I'd use the word flurry, but I think you're going to see them, move some pieces here well before the trade deadline. I think this was just the beginning. I think you could see Noel Acciari be on the move. I think you could see Michael Bunting potentially on the move. I think you could see somebody threw out Drew O'Connor. I don't know about that one, but
that's one where I think you can still build for the future around him. But
yeah,
at the same time, assets are assets. And one that we've talked about a lot that could get an extension. Now I'm just pretty certain that he's gone, and so it's just a matter of when. Marcus Pettersson, I think, is going to be gone.
Yeah, that's the next thing I was going to say.
If they're going to get to the point where they've already started trading people, it's almost like a guarantee in my mind. It's just when, not if, for Marcus Pettersson.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, man, but you're right. I guess I wasn't viewing it this way. But what they should have done probably is said we're going to take a year to kind of reset this thing. We're not going to rebuild, but we're just going to not necessarily try to go in on this year. And that would have been a tough sell. And they wouldn't have said that publicly, but maybe internally know that that's the way that this is going to be.
Even if they said it publicly, look at what the New York Rangers did a few years ago, where they literally put out a public statement, essentially in my own words saying, we're going to suck, but this is what we have to do to get better. Yeah. I would rather the Penguins do that than kind of just tread water enough to keep your head up. They should have done that.
Yeah, that same fashion, I don't think was ever going to happen. But I'm saying, even if you weren't going to put that statement out, you could have still said, we're using this year to hopefully be better for 2025 and beyond. So we still have an opportunity to compete in the Sidney Crosby, Evgeni Malkin era. Now I'm not so sure that that's going to be able to happen because of what they've done this year. We'll see. And I'll be honest,
if it's going to be a Sidney Crosby, Evgeni Malkin era. It might just be a Sidney Crosby era. Everybody's available apparently. And if you're talking about someone that you could get a good return for, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. Malkin's a point per game player right now. If there's anybody that has probably the best value on the team right now that to trade to a competitive team right now, it's Evgeni Malkin.
I feel like it's a pointless conversation to have though, because if he doesn't want to go, he doesn't have to go. And I don't think he wants to go. Yeah, I think Taylor also said that within that article, which by the way, shout out to her. I saw that she was going at it with some aggregators because they didn't, actually even link the article, which is kind of ridiculous. If somebody's doing the work and you're taking the work from them, that's the least that you can do is include where it's sourced from. So, but shout out to Taylor for the work that she puts in. Great stuff over there. But anyways, part of that, which she said at the bottom, was about the guys that have no movement clauses and stuff, not really being part of that conversation. Could they be? Sure, but it would have to be their decision to do so. So I'm not including Gino within that. I don't think that he's on the table like everybody else.
From his perspective, he's probably not. From Kyle's, he probably is. I think if you're Cal Dubas, why would you not want to trade to Evgeni Malkin? I get it from Kyle's perspective.
Because you might lose Crosby in the process.
Maybe. But Kyle has a tough job. And I get it from his perspective why you would want to move on from I think more now than ever it would be it's easy but harder to let go of a guy like Kris Letang. Obviously, you have the no movement clause. I get that. But for how he's played, it's you almost don't want him to be there if you're Kyle Dubas. So from that perspective, I get it. I don't know. This is a tough conversation to have about these kind of players, and it's probably, like you mentioned, it's probably one not even worth having, but we're going to because it gets clicks. But I don't think that this is going to be an easy thing to navigate through for Dubas, for the team, for anybody.
because I'm a fan and I'm not the one in Kyle's position, it's not hard for me. I don't care what this team looks like, if they'd be better or worse. I want those three finishing their careers in Pittsburgh. I don't care about anything else at this point because I've already become resigned to the fact that they're going to be bad for a period of time, whenever that is. I don't care what assets. I don't care what assets they could get in return for those guys, and if they could jumpstart a rebuild on the back end of it, I don't care. Me personally, there's people that are going to think that idea is stupid. That's fine. And that's not, I'm not saying that that's the organization's position on it. That is my personal position on it.
I agree with you. I know probably the way I'm talking doesn't sound like it, but I do agree with you. I want them to stay together. I'm just bringing up how they could be broken up and how from Kyle's like look on it, it makes sense. But I want them to stay together. I've pretty much accepted the fact that we are in the mode of being bad now. I don't see the Penguins, despite what they do they would have to have a godsend of an offseason to be competitive next season. I just don't see it happening. And so I'm already in the mentality of we are basically in the twilight zone or the twilight of Sidney Crosby's career, of getting Malkin's career. We're going to enjoy them while they're still players, but we're going to have a bad hockey team. I've pretty much just succumbed to that fact.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, I mean, this year for me is about Sid being a point per game player. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it sucks because it's November. We're not even halfway through November. And this is the conversation that we're having. But when you make a move like trading Lars Eller, trading one of your centers on the team, one of your better centers on the team and in the organization, what else are we supposed to think? How else are we supposed to react to that type of transaction happening other than you are just basically punting on the season and you're only a month in?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I guess you just hope that all these picks that they're accumulating eventually down the road turn into a game changer. What's going on, everybody? Smitty from Around the 412, and I just want to take a quick second to give a shout out to our folks at Game Changers. Their logo on the screen right now, right above my microphone. Over 2,000 different designs in their catalog. Luxury heavyweight material. I am wearing one of their shirts right now. Best vintage t-shirts in the game. Head over to gamechanger.la or pick6.la to pick up some shirts. And guess what? Use code AT412. Save yourself $10 on your order every single time. Again, gamechanger.la or pick6.la. Best vintage t-shirts in the game. Check them out.
We haven't even mentioned how they got their teeth kicked in twice this week.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Very different though, because the game against Carolina, I don't think that they skated against them. Like, I don't think they were skated off the ice like they have been in years past. The Delkovich was awful in that game. I mean, his goal save above expected was like what, -3 or something like that. I think like the expected goals for in that game were Penguins 3, Hurricanes 2, somewhere in that area. The deserve to win a meter in the Penguins' favor in that one, but they lose 5-1. Like, I mean, it wasn't even a contest because of the goaltending that both sides got. So yeah, but Penguins Hurricanes has been one of the more lopsided matchups over the past few seasons, probably only usurped by Edmonton against Pittsburgh, the way that looks when those two teams play each other. But we might have a new contender now, Tyler, because of how Dallas skated the Penguins off of the ice on Monday night. I mean, oh my God, 6-0 after one period. Like, Joel Blomqvist was bad. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if he would have stopped the beach ball in this one, but I mean, how many odd man rushes can you have in one period? I think the Penguins are trying to set a record in this game, and the only thing that stopped them was the first intermission horn after the first 20 minutes. Like, they literally the period ended with them coming down on a 3-on-1 odd man rush, but they ran out of time. Or it might have been 7-0 after one. One of the most ridiculous periods of hockey that I've seen in a while. Embarrassing. That game maybe directly leads to Kyle Dubas being like, okay, we got to do something here, shake something up in some way. I wouldn't be surprised if Lars Eller was traded today because of the way that Monday looked.
I think that is a good assumption. I don't think that I have ever seen a period as just awful. And I mean, I don't think that's a stretch either, because this is the first time in franchise history that they have trailed after one period 6-0. It was terrible. And you mentioned Joel Blomqvist did not have a good period. He was in his half of a period, -2.5 goals saved above expected. I mean, the expected goals against was half a goal. He let in 3. He gets pulled. And for the rest of the game, expected goals against for Alex Nedeljkovic was 3.1, lets in 4, so he was -0.89. At least he was better, so to speak, but it was awful. And I think that is the catalyst that caused a move like this with Lars Eller. I mean, even in the Washington game, and I know we just talked about how bad Joel Blomqvist was to start this Dallas game. Joel Blomqvist is probably part of the reason that they won the Washington game. According to every other analytical statistic you can look at, Washington outplayed them. The deserve to win meter is in Washington's favor at 65% over 1,000 simulations. Yep. But Joel Blomqvist, the difference in that, expected goals against in that game, 4.2. He only let in 2. 2.2 goals saved above expected. So when you're not,
it's crazy how different all those games were from each other.
When you're not getting a save, even if your team is playing better in front of you, which on Monday they were not. Every single stat just shows how bad the Penguins were on Monday night. But when you're not getting a save in some of these games, that's just hurting you even more, which is just going to show like how up and down the goaltending has been to start the season. Mixing that with the team, mixing that with the coach not being able to adapt to the team and get more out of his players. I mean, overall, this is just a bad hockey team. I don't think that there's any sugarcoating it anymore. I don't think anybody can deny that anymore. They are just bad. I mean, even Bleacher Report Open Ice last week used one word to describe each hockey team. They used the Penguins, bad. And I can't disagree more or agree more. Excuse me. I can't disagree on them. They are just a bad hockey team. And Kyle Dubas has the job of, I don't even want to say fixing it, just planning for the future at this point, because we've already punted on 2024.
You know what I didn't realize until you were kind of talking there about how different these games were? Like, first game, didn't get the goaltending. Second game, you got the goaltending. Third game, didn't get anything.
Yeah, Nedeljkovic in that Carolina game was essentially -3. He was negative 2.96 goals saved above expected.
Yeah. So, like, how different those games were. But again, bad teams find ways to lose. And that's what the Penguins have done. I actually was very encouraged by the way that they looked against Washington. And I was like, maybe we're starting to work our way back. Because that's Washington, I don't know if they're going to end up being a good team. They obviously just made a trade to say that they're kind of going to be buyers. But at top to bottom, that roster is not that impressive to me. But they have been good so far. And the Penguins played really well against them, and how Yoel looked in net. And you know what's going to even upset me more is now they're going to have credence because of the way that he just looked against Dallas for him to go back down. And they're going to move forward with Acciari and the Nedeljkovic goaltending duo.
Yeah, I'm curious when we see Acciari, because he's back up at the NHL level. We haven't seen him yet.
Probably by the time people are watching, listening to this yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually true. He's probably going to start, especially with the goaltending performance between Blomqvist and Nedeljkovic. That's probably true.
Freezing cold takes, old takes exposed, whatever you want to call it. I'll put it out there. I think by the time you guys are watching or listening to this, Tristan Jarry will have played against Detroit.
He will have played, but will it even matter? Will he look any better? That's what I want to know, because at that point, what do you do with goaltending? At that point, if you're Kyle Dubas, how many phone calls a day are you trying to make to pair off Tristan Jarry to somebody? And it's a phone call that's probably never going to get answered. You're probably stuck with him, at least for this season. I don't know what you do after that. You can't buy him out. But they just have so many problems on every single area of the ice, behind the bench. I mean, as I've said earlier, this is just a bad hockey team. And it's the first time since you and I were little kids that we could truly say that. And I bet I bet people who watched that X generation would probably say that there were probably more entertaining like moments from them than what we're getting so far from this team.
I think it's less frustrating too, because you don't have the expectation. And maybe that's a thing. Like, we just need to get rid of those expectations. But like, when you have the high end talent that the Penguins have, it's kind of hard to just ditch that. After 2 years of not making the playoffs, maybe we should. I don't know where you're at, but like, again, I didn't expect them to be good this year necessarily. I also didn't think they'd be bad. Like, it's surprising to me how bad it is. I thought they'd be an average hockey team,
which is basically what they were the last 2 seasons, like fringe playoff team. And I thought they would be pretty similar. I actually thought their bottom 6 improved enough this season to where I thought that was going to be the case. I knew they had their struggles defensively. We were hoping that the things in net would figure themselves out. But whenever you are not getting everything in net, you're getting bad defensive play. Your core is aging. The bottom 6 isn't what everybody thought it was going to be. Even though I actually do still think that the bottom 6 is overall better than it has been the last 2 seasons. I just think that there's too much elsewhere on the team that is causing too many problems. But man, this is way below expectations. I know you and I both predicted that they would make the playoffs this season. I trusted a lot more in the moves that they made this offseason, and it just has not been paying dividends. And I know people, and including us, we've been clamoring for them to fire Mike Sullivan. And I don't know what the breaking point you're going to have to get to is going to be. A 7-1 loss. I mean, if those start to rack up, and I've also gone on record in a past show saying, like, I think they're going to have to lose like 10 plus in a row for them to actually pull the trigger on Mike Sullivan. I don't know what type of, like, I don't know why Fenway Sports Group and Kyle Dubas have the relationship that they do, or like the connection that they do with Mike Sullivan, in as much where we just feel like it's so hard for him to be able to actually get fired. But I just think that even if they change, I know people are joking, and it is mostly joking. I know people are joking around saying, like, well, look what happens when the Penguins fire a head coach each time they've gone to the Stanley Cup that same season. I just don't see it. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it matters who you put behind that bench. This is just a bad hockey team, and it's going to stay that way.
I agree. Unfortunately, I don't see a quick solution to what we've seen lately. I think we've kind of just been going week by week and seeing what is the hockey team going to bring us. And it's kind of been a smaller picture conversation week in and week out. We'll still continue to do that in terms of the results that happen on a week in, week out basis. But I feel pretty comfortable about knowing where this team is and where they're going to be. Like, I don't think that we need to do this whole song and dance pretending that they can still, make some noise, because if they make the playoffs this year, I will be very surprised.
I feel like that should probably be an understatement.
Yes.
If they make the playoffs this year, I think it would probably be a miracle at this point. Seeing the way it's played out for a month of the season, I don't think that would be anything short of a miracle that they made the playoffs.
What's funny is, like,
I know people
only
can say that
out, they played 3 more games than Tampa. So
yeah, and I know they're only 1 point out, but I just think that as you get along, as the sample size gets bigger, it's going to get worse. I don't think it's going to get better. And I know that it took probably some sort of miracle for a team like 2015 to turn it around. They were out of a playoff spot on January 10th in 2016, and they ended up finishing second in the Metropolitan Division, ended up winning the East that year and winning the Stanley Cup. I do not think that you are going to have that type of turnaround no matter what you do. You don't have a coach in waiting. You don't have players in the AHL that are waiting like you did in 2015 and 2016 that you could have come up and make an impact. You're not getting the goaltending that you were. Everybody's older on this team. Like, despite how good your core can be, how good Sid and Gino can be, they're not in their 20s anymore. It's too insurmountable of a task, I think, at this point, to say that they could be any sort of a playoff team.
Yeah. Fun. God. All right. Well, anyway,
Isn't
yeah, we're
everybody
giving away
happy after this conversation?
yeah, we're giving away Penguin tickets for Rock Around the 412. So be sure to get involved.
And that's probably what we'd have to do is give them away. So if you donate to Rockin' Around the 412, you can get your chance to get Penguin tickets. And then if you don't want to go to the game, you can sell them for $10 because that's probably going to be what they're worth at that point. Honestly, if I'm being totally transparent, this is great for me because I buy the Penguin tickets. The prices are going to be lower than normal. That's going to be awesome.
This is bull. Yeah, I mean, from where the prices were to where they're going to be, it's quite a cut. Smitty from Around the 412 here, and while I may not have much hair, the hair that I do have will not be cut by anybody besides Keek at Keek's Barbershop. My friend Christian Circle, been with us since day one. Keek's Barbershop, located 401 Burkitch Way, Suite 2 in Beaver, PA. Download the app The Cut. Book an appointment with Christian today, or you can do walk-in with Tony or Ashley. But again, Keek's Barbershop, 401 Burkitch Way, Suite 2 in Beaver, PA. Go check them out. Old school vibe in there. Absolutely love it. Cannot recommend them enough. Wouldn't go anywhere else. Maybe I'll see you there. Whoa. For anybody that doesn't watch the Steelers show, new logo right above Tyler. Somebody new coming into the mix. Our friend Brandon Marcello, a.k.a. Boots, started his own business along with his brother. They're both electricians, so they do electrical work. Marcello Electric. We will link their Facebook page down below. They service Beaver, Allegheny, Lawrence, and Butler County areas, and they do residential, commercial, or service calls. So feel free to reach out to them for any of your electrical needs. Been in the business for quite a while now, to be honest with you, straight out of high school, but they decided to start their own thing. So big shout out to them because I know that that's quite a leap to take to just go and start your own business. So shout outs to Brandon and his brother Joe for doing that. But that will be in the description, and check them out if you have any electrical needs. Other than that, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you are here on YouTube. If you're listening somewhere else, head to the YouTube to do that. Don't miss any of the content that we are posting throughout the week, whether it's a podcast episode, a clip from the show, our Saturday live stream for Steelers Saturday Sit Down. If you're also a Steelers fan, good stuff going on over there. So be sure to check that out in the description, whether you're watching or listening somewhere else. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, couldn't have said it better. Or listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. The description of the show will include several links. One of those, Year 7, Rocking Around the 412. A month-ish left to donate, December 9th, if you want to be involved with the Salvation Army specifically, December 14th for the mission as a whole. Every single penny donated goes directly to providing Christmas for kids in the 724 and 412 area codes. Tyler and I never had to worry about where Christmas was coming from going up, and this mission is to give back and make sure the kids, at least for that one day, feel how Tyler and I were always able to growing up. So be sure to donate. Like I said, every single penny goes directly to that. If you donate at least $10, you'll be eligible to win some prizes, such as those aforementioned Penguin tickets. Steelers 16 by 20 signed by 21 people in the organization. A James Daniels game-worn face mask, autographed Pat Fryermuth jersey, autographed Jared Jones jersey, Steelers jersey of choice, Pirates jersey of choice, 2 Game Changer shirts, 2 Around the 412 hoodies. I think that's it. I think I got all of it. Around the 412 hoodies, which I'm wearing right now, courtesy of Everything Custom Designs. Our friend Haley Wagner, small business. Her Facebook is down below as well. Hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeves of ours. Also, your own custom stuff that she can do. It's holiday season, so be sure to check her out. Give her a shout. She'll do some work for you. Great stuff. Great quality. Go ahead.
That's it. I'll say that's it for all the prizes you can win. But is there something that's happening this Saturday? That you feel
So I mentioned Steelers Saturday Sit Down that we do every single Saturday when there is a game on the weekend as well. This upcoming one, we're going to be giving away 9 jerseys. Not giving away. Sorry.
When we say giving away, there's a monetary fee that has to happen as well.
It's the same way. I guess it's the same way we're giving away prizes for people that don't. Like, you got to donate to win prizes for Rock Around the 412.
Yeah,
you got to win this auction to get one of the jerseys. But anyway, we're gonna do an auction off of 9 Steelers jerseys. 2 Minka Fitzpatrick jerseys. One of those is a block number. The other one is a away jersey. Yes. Alex Highsmith color rush. George Pickens home jersey. Broderick Jones home jersey. Troy Polamalu, the old, it's not their old alternate, which was kind of like color rush. I don't know if it had a name. Ben Roethlisberger, same one. Ben Roethlisberger home jersey, and an Antonio Brown salute to service. Not sure which year it was, though. Which year's salute to service that is. But either way, 9 different jerseys. So if you're interested in any of those, be in the live stream Saturday. Do like a 5-minute countdown. Highest bidder wins the jersey. Once payment is received, we'll move on to the next jersey. Got to be ready to pay right there and then, though, because like you could tell me that you're willing to pledge this amount of money and then not pay me. What am I supposed to do with that? And then the stream's over and I could have all these jerseys left. So
don't cuck us.
That's how it's going to work. Yeah. Yeah. For lack of a better word. Yeah. Don't cuck us. But anyways, follow us on everything at Around the 412, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, not Threads. Go find us, follow us there, show us some love over there. For Tyler, for Smitty, this has been the Around the 412 Penguins show for some reason. And we'll talk to you next time. Probably not very happy.